people that you're selecting to be managers.
Okay.
The key here is that people are wanting to be managers
Mm,
because they care about their people, not because it's another title to hang on their door
right.
or another feather in their cap. So
Okay.
those are really big things that drive a lot of that. Now, the other factor that comes into play here in regards to leadership impact is some stuff that we've done in our proprietary research, again, going back to the payroll efficiency factor. So if we look at the average mediocre organization, what we've already said is a pretty good organization. They're functioning pretty well. They have a payroll efficiency factor on average of 63%. Whereas the average of the best organizations have a payroll efficiency factor of 78%. That's a 15-point difference, but a 24% increase in performance over where the average organization is. Out of that 15 points, what we've been able to determine is just coming in and creating a leadership support system and getting managers trained in how to be better leaders,
Mm-hmm.
that factor alone can account for anywhere between 5 to 10 points of that difference.
Wow.
And that's huge because what we found, the Bureau of Labor Statistics just released some data last summer in regards to the average total compensation wage for employees. Took it up a little over $31 an hour. And when you look at it over an annual pay, it's about $63,000 per employee on average. Now, again, that's average across the entire United States. Some locations may be
Right.
more, some locations may be less.
Right.
And this is not just pay, it's taking into account insurances, retirements, taxes, all of those things across the board. We saw a huge jump in that over in 2010 when we first introduced the payroll efficiency factor. We saw a huge jump in what the total compensation cost was from there until this past year, and almost a 50% jump. And a lot of what was driving that has been insurances. Insurances have been steadily for 5 years, have been constantly increasing. Taxes have also gone up. And despite what we tend to think about, wages have gone up to some extent as well. And so that's the Bureau of Labor Statistics making that statement in regards to why that has increased. Well, at those numbers, at an average $63,000 total compensation package per employee, when we look at this difference between where an average organization is and where the best organizations are, it's costing the organization $19,000 per week per 100 employees to not be doing something about it. It's 19 that 15 points, that 15% difference between 63% and 78% is $19,000 per week. It's huge. It comes out to just under $1 million a year. And of course, each organization their amount is going to vary based on whatever their actual payroll is. But when you start looking at it, in averages and generalities, almost $20,000 a week, that's huge. $1 million a year per every one of our employees. So when we can come in and we can start working with managers and we can start increasing their leadership skills so that they become better and better and better at being leaders, and we start providing them some of those support systems, now we're impacting that 5 points.
Okay.
Maybe 10 points. And that's now starting to give a huge return back into an organization, especially if we're talking an organization's 200, 300, 500, 1,000 employees.
Right.
Now we're talking about some big returns on investment.
Right.
Now, what really takes it the rest of the way is when we start creating some of the performance support systems, that come out of when we move into the vision and we start creating performance support systems out of there, where we're looking at organizational performance and then driving that back down through to the employees. Now we're ending up driving that even further. And then when we get into those innovation optimization and strengths mastery systems, that completes the circle. And now we can conceivably get even better than 78%.
Okay.
We tend to talk about organizations are broken down into 4 types of organizations. So the ones that are at 50% payroll efficiency factor, around that area or worse, they're struggling. They either have to get better or they're going to probably end up dying.
Okay.
They have a lot of toxic environments. They're churning through a lot of employees. They have a lot of employee turnover. And that's because they're either trying to bribe performance or they're trying to threaten people performance.
Okay.
So, and if you're trying to bribe performance, that's pay for performance. That's all these, oh, hey, we hit these numbers, so you get some extra money. Somebody is always going to come along and say, look, we'll pay you more, and you're going to lose those people. And then you're going to have the people that are always being threatened. Hey, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your job. Don't do this, we're going to punish you. We'll lay you off, or we'll suspend you. And we'll write you up. And people don't like to work in that kind of environment.
No, they don't.
And so they're going to look to find somewhere else to go. So that you start creating all this churn, and it just makes things worse in that organization. And like I said, eventually you start burning through cash, you start burning through resources and reserves, and you're on the verge of collapse. So those organizations either have to get better or they tend to perish.
Okay.
The next level up is, and those are what we call the C-level organizations.
Yeah.
That's at mid-range. They're around the 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. They're peaking out at 5 on the bell curve. When we move up to the 6.3, those are good organizations, and their average is again at 6.3. So they can be a little higher, a little lower. But those are good organizations. They're performing well. The reason why we talk about mediocrity for these organizations is when they start saying we're good enough. And that drives that mediocrity. It's like a ball and chain. It's holding them back then from being able to progress and accomplish the things that they potentially could accomplish because they say we're good enough.
Okay.
So the next level up is the best organizations. That's
Okay.
that 78% average, and they're the ones that are out there performing very well, that everybody wants to be because they're innovative, they're creative, they're driving change, they're the leaders, and then the people that are performing at 78% or above.
Right.
They're the best of the best. We call those the exceptional organizations.
Okay.
They're the best of the best, and they're getting payroll efficiency factors at 80%, 82%, 83%. So they're up a lot higher. And of course, we've got to understand that by nature we can never get more than 90% on a payroll efficiency factor because your best score is 9 times. If you had 100% engaged employees, you multiply that 100% by 9, and you're going to get 90%. So you can never get better than 90%. What drives that then is that payroll effectiveness.
Okay.
And so that we're actually got everybody focused on doing what's really important to reach the goals of the organization.
Okay.
And so they're spending the majority of their time on the things that are actually moving the dials.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why, and I don't have any problems with saying that payroll efficiency factor is capped out at 90%, is even your best employees have off days. Even your best employees can be sick. Even your best employees need a day or two off, or they're going to take vacation. So, and I am just a firm believer that there's no such thing as 110%. 100% is the whole, and the whole is the whole, and that's all there is. So it works very well. But now we can start seeing that when we're working across these organizations, if we're in one of these good organizations and we're going, okay, well, we're good, we don't need to pay attention to this, Now it's starting to cause us to be a little bit mediocre. If we can come in and we can start changing the attitudes of managers, we give them the right skills of, most managers go, well, I don't know how to make employees engaged.
Right.
Is it about making them happy? And I often share that I can come in and I can make a whole bunch of happy employees in an organization right up to the day I put it out of business.
Right.
And then they'll all lose their jobs. Because it's not about happiness. Engagement is about being connected to the organization and wanting to do good work.
Right.
We go back to those three key emotions, which was having right relationships, that we've got to fit with the organization. We have a sense of belonging to this community. And then we have the second emotion is doing good work.
Yep.
Most employees want to do good work. They want to know that their work is important and that they're doing good work, and that other people know that they're doing good work and appreciate what they're doing. And then that takes us right into that empowerment that we start teaching them and getting them better. And that's where that strengths mastery system, where we're helping employee learn the skills and we make sure that they have the knowledge, and that's where that's all working. So it's all very connected.
Yeah.
But it's very simple once you sit down and you start looking at it in relationship to the model.
Okay.
And you go, okay, well, this all makes a whole lot of sense. And now I know what I need to do in these areas, and I can start pulling some levers. Now I know what I need to do to build trust. And hopefully we'll come back and talk more about trust, because that's a fascinating subject. Oh, it's huge. It's very huge. And unfortunately, most managers get that wrong too. And so we'll talk about that. But we teach them the skills about how do you build trust? How do you create those connections to the vision? How do you focus on helping people get better at their strengths and accentuate the positive? How do you empower people to make better and better decisions because they know more and more and more?
Yep.
And when we give them those skills now, and the support system in the organization to put them in action, now we're really pulling those levers. And now instead of it costing us $19,000 a week, we're dropping that down to $4,000 or $5,000 a week difference, just because we've got people doing the right skills.
Right.
We create the rest of that support system around it, and now we're back up to we've recovered that $19,000. And remember, that $19,000 multiplied by 2 or 3 times that you recovered, maybe more, maybe 5 or 6. That's what's going on at the bottom line. So 19,000. You take an organization that's got 200 employees, so that's $40,000 a week, roughly, and you multiply that by 2 or 3, and so now you're looking at $100,000 to $120,000 impact, and multiply that by 52 weeks over the year. You're looking at about a $5 million impact on the bottom line of that organization.
Yep.